This is Jonathan Agger of Fear for Pro Boxing fans. We're here in London today. The announcement of Daniel Dubois' fight on Showtime August 29th. With me is trainer Shane McGuigan. Shane, busy few days for you. The work never stops.
Yeah, definitely. It's part of the business. But it's a business that I love. So we had a great weekend, and now straight back into the gym on Monday. We had a bit of a media day yesterday to announce the fight, and we're down here for the press conference today. So exciting times. Not that far away from the fight. It's kind of been on the cards for a while, so we've sort of knew about it. But it's nice to have it finally here.
When are you guys going to head out to Ohio?
Probably on August the 28th.
Okay.
I'm joking. No, we'll probably go like a week before.
Okay, fine. Shane, the opponent Joe Cusimano hasn't been stopped, 19-3, I believe. What sort of test does this bring to Daniel?
He needs to break him down, so that's going to be a test in itself. Yes, he can punch a little bit, and he's a big lump. So it's not going to be a complete walkover job, but it's going to be we want to put that chink in his armour. We want to be the first guy to stop him. So, and also we're going out there to showcase Daniel Dubois. So he has to perform. He has to basically show himself, and because everyone knows about him back here, but no one has a clue about him in America. So they soon will, once all these millions of people around the world tuning in to watch Jake Paul Woodley is going to see an explosive performance.
Prior to the Bogdan Dunu fight, you said to me that you want to see improvements. You're looking to quicken up his feet, make sort of those kind of improvements. Did you see any of that in that fight?
Yeah, I saw he moved his feet well, but he still had his head on the line. Now we can work on certain things, a little bit of head movement when he's jabbing, he's dipping on it, changing up the angles, working the body well. So I'm really impressed with what I'm seeing with Daniel. We just need to be able to execute on fight night. Because I don't know him well enough. This is our second fight, so it's about this for me is about like going through that process again, actually having a proper full training camp to see, all right, well, where are the improvements, and hopefully we get rounds out of this Cusimano.
Seeing that photo of Dubois and Lawrence Okolie looked like be great to watch. How beneficial was it for both guys?
Well, it wasn't a fight; it was a spar.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great. It's very beneficial, especially boxing this because Cusimano's got quite fast hands, so it's allowed Dan to sort of get used to the speed. And look, they're lumping each other, but they're not trying to kill each other. It's quite technical at times, and it's going to be great for both of them to have those spars in-house, because those two, I believe, in a few years' time can take over the heavyweight division.
Dubois is obviously in a great position, WBA interim title champion. There was talk of a potential fight with Trevor Bryan. Do you think that's a possibility, maybe afterwards?
Definitely, it's a great fight for us, and it also would put us on the world stage, even though it's a regular title and not recognised by by the elite, as they say. It's still a world title. Lee Woods just won one.
David Hay won.
You know what I mean? David Hay won one, exactly. So you can't discredit it. Scott Quigg won one as well. So it's still a world title, and I think if we could get our hands on that, it holds a lot of relevance and it holds a lot of power. And then we'll get the fighters coming to us. That we'll get the guys that are in and around that level, whether they're the Andy Ruizes of this world, whether they're the Joseph Parkers, even Chisora, all these guys that are Dylan White, for instance, they're going to be more inclined to box Daniel Dubois, even Joe Joyce. Like, if you hold relevance, and a WBA regular title definitely will do that. Hopefully Frank can get that over the line, but Don King is a slippery operator, so it's hard to nail him down, and but hopefully that can be the case.
As a trainer, how much do you relish the prospect of those fights? Because you've always sort of had guys in the lower weight classes. Now potentially you're going to fight, be matched against the heavyweights, the known guys. How much does that how much do you relish that?
Yeah, big time. I've always wanted to get my hands on a heavyweight. I worked with David Hay when he was a heavyweight, but it was at the end of his career. And we had a relatively short career. His body just wasn't able to go through a training camp, so it was frustrating because I knew how much ability he had. He just wasn't able to physically get war ready, as it were. Whereas with Daniel Dubois, he's a robust, big, young, fresh guy that you could train him like a normal athlete. You can put him through the mill, you can see him sparring day in, day out, and you can then allow yourself to become a coach. tweak him, get him to do these things, be vocal, so he can start listening. And this is the experience that I've really wanted to get to go through. And I've had heavyweights in the past approach me, but things just haven't necessarily worked out in terms of, like, for me, and whereas with Dan, it's like I always looked at him and thought, do you know what, I could do a lot for that kid. And I think in time you're going to see it.
Chris Billam-Smith beating Tommy McCarthy on the weekend. Were you impressed with his performance?
Yeah, I thought he overcame a lot. There was a lot of need on the build up to the fight. There was a lot of want to win from both boxers. They got put on a huge stage. It was chief support. You know what I mean? It's on a new platform, which was just that whole experience was a big deal. So the fact that he got he started well, but he got caught with a silly shot. He wasn't that. It looked like he was more hurt than he actually was, because when he came back to the claw, he completely clear. But after that, he just started going through the gears and really beating Tommy up. But it's also his first time actually going through a 12-rounder, because the previous times when he's been scheduled for 12, he's knocked them out. So these are all things that he had to overcome, and he did it, and he won, which is the most important thing.
Whilst he'd be forgiven for sort of enjoying the victory, obviously people are talking about potential rematch. Does that interest you guys? I know he's asked for a fight in Bournemouth.
Definitely, I think it's a fight we could take down to Bournemouth. It has to be right financially, it has to be right in timings as well, in terms of like what time of the year basically. So whether we make it next or we make it a bit later, I don't know. But I think I want to keep Chris at this level for now, because I want him to have a few defences in and around that level. He's really highly ranked on the world scene, but he still needs one or two more 12. Well, I'd say 3 or 4 more sort of European level, fringe world title level sort of contests, so he can just get more comfortable in there, because he was rushing his work and he was getting a bit ragged and sloppy at times. Which that's not the kid that I see. That's not the guy I see in the gym. The guy I see in the gym is really calculated, really clever, and I think sometimes he just lets the fight get to him. He just gets too up for it and takes too many risks.
Is it a proud achievement for you, having taken him from the small shows in Bournemouth to winning 3 major domestic belts? Definitely,
yeah, exactly. Especially with Chris, because he wasn't necessarily an Olympian, he wasn't touted for huge success. But I always knew that he had lots of ability when he came down and sparred George Groves. He had a great jab. He didn't get flustered when he got put under pressure. And he's a likeable guy, and he's a good athlete. So there was the raw minerals there to work with. But I didn't believe he was going to take to them as well as he has. And now he's British, Commonwealth and European champion. What an achievement. If we can get him to fight for a world title, potentially win a world title in 24 months' time, that's a huge achievement. For a guy that had 43 amateur fights and 31 wins with only 1 knockout, he was winging it on his own as an amateur, and because he wasn't getting the sparring, he wasn't getting the time and effort to develop. But still, he didn't achieve as much. He didn't achieve that much, and he's definitely really taken to the pro game.
Given the week Anthony Fowler had got the stoppage win and now sets up that huge fight with Liam Smith, why is that fight the right fight at the right time for Fowler?
It's a massive deal. It's a big fight. Ted Cheeseman has no intentions of boxing. Laranja versus Sharat is going on. Everything's taking time. We need to make fights. We need to. DAZN are interested in making big fights. They're interested in paying more and making decent fights, and that's exactly what they've done here. And I believe that Anthony Fowler beats Liam Smith. I also believe if he does beat him, well, when he does beat him, that he jumps onto the world scene, and really announces himself, and sort of kiboshes all of the naysayers. He lost to Fitzgerald and stuff. That was a subpar performance. He wasn't boxing in a style that was suited for him. He was trying to hold his feet and roll his head too much, whereas he's got good legs, got good jabs, long straight shots, and I believe that with those attributes he can go a hell of a long way.
Lawrence Okolie, you said to me last time, mandatory defence coming up. Is there any potential news on when that could take place?
Yeah, it's a guy called Dylan Prasovic. So That is going to be announced pretty shortly, I think. We were looking at a few dates. There's potential of boxing in America, or there's potential of boxing on the AJ card. So we've got to figure out what suits us, but probably most likely to boxing on the AJ card.
You've briefly spoke to my colleague about this, but you've made 2 new signings, Adam and Hassan Azim.
Yeah.
Talk us through them. Huge potential.
Yeah, Adam Azim and Hassan are both super talented guys. Hassan's 20 years of age. Adam's just turned 19. So both great amateur careers. I think Hassan won Olympic youth Olympic youth bronze, and he won a European silver or something like that as well. So in the youths as well. So very talented boys. I mean, Adam's won like God knows how many national titles. He's won schoolboys the whole way through to youths and everything like that. So he's done really well. And I had Adam down sparring Luke Campbell, and he was super talented. So I'm excited about both boys, and hopefully we can get them a promotional deal soon, and we can crack on, because Adam's had 1 fight, but it was when he was 18 years of age, and he needs to keep momentum. So yeah, let's get the ball rolling.
Adam's very confident. He's saying in, I think, a year, 2 years, he wants to be world champion.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that he's full of talent. I'm like, I don't necessarily take on fighters that I don't believe they can really do something. And there's one thing I'm sure about, is that Adam Azim can definitely fight. We have to match him well. We have to get him the right fights. We have to give him tests at the right time. He's only a young baby basically, but he's super talented. Got huge sort of high hopes for himself, and it's down to himself to put the effort in and train, and down to us to match him well and take him through.
Just final one, Shane. You mentioned sort of the AJ card. Obviously, that Usyk fight is coming up. From a tactical perspective, when people say Usyk's not big enough, he can't put a dent in AJ because of the size, or he will trouble him early on, but sort of towards the end, AJ will get to him. Do you agree with that? That the size is going to play a big factor in this fight?
I think so. I think we'd be naive to say that it won't. You can see in that 5-round fight that he had against Joe Joyce that size was playing a factor. You could see that a Derek Chisora of this world that just sort of had no respect and regard for him, just walked straight through him. You can see that that's also played a big factor. But AJ doesn't necessarily just go in there and impose his size. He tries to do it behind the jab, and I think that's what's going to cause a lot of problems for AJ. The fact that he's probably going to be try to be quite technical early on, and but size will play a factor in my opinion as the rounds go on, and I think he should stop him in around 8 or 9 rounds.
Brilliant, Shane. Really appreciate your time, and best of luck ahead of August 29th.
Thanks.